Great, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So if you're new here to the channel, basically one of the things we like to do is we like to comb the internet and look at questions or comments, posts related to martial arts, and see if we can add any insight or learn a little bit something from it, sharing some experience or gaining some experience. So today's story comes from Reddit under the BJJ thread, right? The specific title of this post is Tapping Upper Belts. So going on to read the story, he says, I'm quite hesitant to tap upper belts when I catch them in submissions since they seem to get quite upset and start going very hard. On the rare occasion when I have caught upper belts and get the tap, they proceeded to go full blast and crank submissions super hard. This happened at multiple gyms that I've trained at, so I don't think it's a gym culture thing unless I'm very unlucky. Any advice on what to do in this situation? Okay, let's break it down a little bit. I think I have some insight. So let's start with a little bit of a story. So a couple years ago in a BJJ class, I was working with one of our students, and this guy was very talented because he actually was a wrestler, but relatively new to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so he still had a lot to learn. And we had worked some stuff from Keisa and earlier and Keisa Katami, and we were looking at attacking the arm from there. We kind of came to rolling time, and I got around in with almost everybody. And we touched hands with this one person, and then as we were working, I kind of gave him the segue into the moves that we were drilling that class. And my thought process is, I'll kind of let him earn it, work his way there. He'll get set up, and then we'll reset and go from there after he sees the light bulb, after he sees that light at the end of the tunnel. But what ended up happening was he was especially being like a young, strong, athletic wrestler. He just saw like the bake right there, right? So he saw the setup that I gave him. He went full bore, cranked my arm, almost ended up popping my elbow. So, thankfully I wasn't really injured too bad at that part, a little ice in it, and recovered. But after that roll, I never allowed him to put me in that position again where, I don't have that ability to control what's happening. So basically I wasn't going necessarily 100%, but I did not allow him to have control of that match at all. I had to shut him down because it becomes a self-preservation issue as well, too, if that makes a little bit of sense. So I'm not saying this is you, but it does happen. It is quite common where an upper belt allows a lower belt to work a move, work a transition, especially if it's something that was drilled in class. And then that lower belt may not realize that they were being set up, that they were being fed that move, fed the technique, and they get so excited that when they finally get there, they go 100%, they end up going so hard that they end up, trying to get a submission, maybe even getting a tap, but they had to crank their partner's neck or they had to dig their forearm into their throat in order to get it. And out of frustration, their partner just like, hey, fine, tap, dude, you got it. But then, they also realize, the upper belt realizes like, okay, this person wants to tap me. Well, guess what? We're not playing that game anymore. I'm not going to allow them to be in that position where they can do it because obviously this is not working out for me, right? So same thing, it's self-preservation mode where you weren't able to kind of take what they were giving you perhaps, and now they're just going to make sure that they're looking after themselves when they're training.